What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And, this is so much fun. It's a Monday, kicking it off. And I got to admit, I don't have many Monday morning hangovers. I absolutely love and am lit up with what I do it to the point where like weekends, like I could sit and do this on weekends. And I do what I do on weekends with no problem. However, this weekend, it was my wife's 42nd birthday. We took a trip up north to Manistee. We golfed. We just had a phenomenal weekend to the point where she told me it was her best birthday she's had in at least 7 years of memories, which made me feel good that we were able to do that. But I'm telling you what, you ever have one of those weekends where you're just like, take me back, take me back. Today it was like alarm goes off. It's time to go to the gym and like get into that routine, get back into the routine, go to the gym, kick off the morning with difference maker boot camp. And again, I love that stuff, but it was like, whew, okay, now it's back to work. I'm telling you what, it doesn't take me much to get fired back up, though. Hit the gym, back in Difference Maker Boot Camp, making a difference, having a phenomenal session this morning. So super cool. And then I get to do this, where I'm in the studio with a friend, Jennifer McGovern, chef, and, super excited. We're just sitting here talking and getting caught up and talking sales and taking care of people and serving people and all that good stuff. And it's just so exciting to have that conversation. I'm back, baby. It doesn't take much. The hangover's gone. Monday's ready to go. And what do you guys do out there doing that's lighting you up? And think about that sometimes. And I say that so purposely. I get to do this. Like, what do you get to do? Think about that, because a lot of times we're sitting and thinking about, oh, I got to do this. I got to get up. It's Monday. I've got these things. Like, be happy, be excited. This is the stuff that you chose to do, hopefully. So without further ado, I'm super excited to have Jennifer back in the studio. She is a second-time guest, but you know what? The last time we got so caught up because she's such a difference maker, talking all about her. We didn't talk a lot at the time about all the things that she was doing, and some things have changed since the last time. So I'm super excited to get into it. And Jennifer, welcome back to the studio.
Hey.
Welcome into this studio for the very first time.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, I had a hard time sleeping last night because I was just so jazzed up.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes me feel good.
Like I said in our intro, it's like you drinking 2 cups of coffee, just being in your presence. It's powerful. You just have a way of not only engaging and connecting with people, but just, lighting a fire and just talking about exciting things. You just never know what to expect. I love that.
I'm realizing it's like God has a plan. Yeah. God has a plan for your life. He's looking for willing participants. And there's things that I've been doing, but like really realizing that I've been given the gifts that I have for an exact reason. I was meant to make a difference in people's lives and lead people down that path and to where they can fulfill their God's plan. I've been saying this for so many months now. Hell is meeting the person that you could have been.
Yes.
What are those gaps? What's preventing you from being that person that you're not only ultimately proud of, but was part of God's plan? Because you look at, if everybody was operating off from their potential of what God saw in them, what would this world be like?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the biggest barrier is ourselves. Is
5,000%.
I think the biggest barrier is ourselves, and whether that's self-doubt, or we talked about having a scarcity mindset, or putting up barriers, or just making that long grocery list of items of, this could go wrong. How about just throw them all out? Let's just go for it. How about let's just pull up our bootstraps and just go for it and just have the confidence of God that He has ordained this time and the appointments. I can't tell you, like, when you are working out of a sense of purpose and humility for the greater good of a community, of an organization, or whatever your mission is, He's going to be glorified. And with that heart set, it ignites more passion.
Do you ever, and it's like, you look at these little miracles of when you start fulfilling your purpose and you're on the right path, because all of a sudden you get this momentum, or you get this beginner's luck. All of a sudden these doors open, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to a gentleman at boot camp this morning, and he was like, he's had this calling to do this, to do his business that he's doing. And then as soon as he started doing it, he met this guy, Andrew Black, who, shout out to Andrew Black. His name has been brought up several times. He's a guy like you that is just a connector. If you've not met Andrew, in fact, oh my God.
Andrew, so I need to.
You need to meet Andrew. Andrew is a lifestyle concierge. And it's like, what is that? I've never met anyone that does what Andrew does.
I might have met Andrew.
Okay.
Is he in the Brighton Chambers?
He is in the Brighton Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he does
I need to
like,
get to know him better. I don't
yes.
know him on the level that I'd like to get to know him.
I will reconnect you two.
Yeah.
Definitely. He is phenomenal. I said the other day, somebody brought his name up in SiriusNet. Steve, and this was really cool. And this is how connections work, right? And how
Yeah.
it all unfolds. Steve had met Andrew. I forgot where he said in our meeting where he met Andrew. He connected him to Michael Mayernick. Michael Mayernick built a really cool relationship with him. He connected him to a bunch of people, but one of the people he connected him to was Sasha Clavon.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's amazing, right?
She is amazing.
So one day I get this call from Sasha and she's like, "Oh my God, Jason." She was like, "I didn't realize that I had a famous friend. I didn't realize you were famous." And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm sitting in my driveway. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I'm not even kidding." She's like, "I had a conversation with this guy. I met this amazing guy up for coffee this morning, and we're having this incredible conversation. And we're at the coffee shop in Brighton, and I started talking about my friend who has a coffee line, who has coffee, and I was talking about, and he was talking and asking me questions about the coffee, and she's like, I don't know much. I just know he has a podcast, and he brought this coffee out, and it's the best coffee I've ever had." And he's like, "Wait a minute, is your friend Jason Tracy?" And it turns out he's been listening to the podcast for a long time. So Sasha ends up connecting me to Andrew. And like, first off, I meet up with him and we have an incredible conversation. But this guy has legit been listening to the podcast for a long time. He told me that he thought that I was better than Joe Rogan. So I'm like, I love you. Bless your heart. Like compliments get you everywhere. But he was like, what you're doing, and especially with local people and local entrepreneurs and local difference makers, is something that I think is even better than what Joe Rogan is doing from that standpoint of what's happening in this community.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that, and we just built this relationship. But when we started talking about Andrew, the first thing that popped in mind, I added it in the comment box in SiriusNet, is Andrew is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh.
You meet him, and he's just that guy that will connect you to so many different people, and you're that way.
Cute. That is such a compliment. I mean, how can you go in? I know for me, how do you enter a room without offering something? I
Yeah.
mean, we all have gifts. So it might be talents, it might be resources, it might be money, it might be a testimony that inspires somebody else. It might be just the fact that you've experienced something. So your intelligence and your experiences might lend somebody a hand up in an area that they don't have to recreate the wheel. Just
Yeah.
and it comes naturally. I mean, it's like cream rising to the top. It just comes naturally that when all that happens, and then when you are in company with people that also share that excitement, I tell you, that's where the magic happens.
It is absolutely where the magic happens. Like, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And then we talked about mindset and how like it's our own selves to hold ourselves back. There's so many people that when someone's talking, they think about a friend or somebody they know that they should connect them with, and they think, oh, well, I'll probably look like I'm selling something, or they'll have these limiting beliefs and they won't make that connection. And it's like, have you ever connected with somebody and they're like, no, I don't want to know anybody, like, don't share your resources with me.
Card and walk away. You almost have to throw out all of those old school tactics. I mean, because, it's all about relationships. And we were talking about how sales is really transcendent across every industry. Every single person, whether they want to admit it or not, is a salesperson.
Absolutely.
So think about it. You want to convince your kids to go to bed on time or do their homework, or leverage a relationship, get, whatever it is, when you're buying a car, when you're making a purchase, when you're trying to sell an idea, when you are trying to be heard or advocate for somebody. Passion and purpose will lend itself so far, but the craftsmanship in communication and the authenticity and passion, you can say the exact same words.
Absolutely.
But if you energize it and have that little backpack on that has the passion and the authenticity and the purpose, people will stop in their tracks. And you could say the same thing. It's like people saying, "How are you?" If they are connecting and looking at you and saying, "How are you?" and then they pause, they really want an answer back instead of just,
"How are you?" and then they move on to their next thing.
Here. So it's just being present, not being overscheduled. Maybe keep your resources off to the side. You want to hear what somebody else has. I mean, you never know. Somebody might have had an experience that morning or heard a podcast or read something in a newspaper or a local magazine, and they just might have something to share. And maybe they've just been waiting for that audience and that moment to be able to do that. It's pretty powerful.
It's pretty powerful. It made me think of this, and I love Nelson Mandela as a leader.
Oh,
You know, you think
yeah.
about it, you look at political figures, for example. There are not many political figures where the masses can agree that's a great person.
Mhm.
You know, usually there's like
Right.
a split 50-50. But you look at this guy that like would listen to everybody. I mean, this guy literally was in prison for his views
Mhm.
and then got out, became president of his country, and
Right.
invited all the people that imprisoned him to dinner, made them
Right.
an amazing dinner, you know, and you just think about the humility of that.
Yeah.
But being like sometimes, and I've been in those situations where maybe I'm really feeling good about myself. I've been in situations or in younger and immaturity where I walked into the room and felt like I'm the smartest person in the room. And I've got to
Mhm.
share all my wisdom. I got to share all
Right.
my stories. Everybody's got to know all the great things that I'm doing. And I'm thinking I'm helping them from that standpoint. And then I've left the room so embarrassed and so humbled that there was
Mhm.
somebody in that room that I should have learned from. There's
Right.
somebody in that room that like I'm sitting and preaching and you know, having a parade for myself. And wow, if I would have just sat back
Right.
and asked some questions, I would have realized I'm really stupid. Like this guy or this person that I'm sitting in here next to could really, you know, has really
Yeah.
had the experiences and the success or just the stories, and I could
Right.
really learn from that person.
Well, that's a beautiful story. And just to add to that, we can learn a lot from that illustration. I mean, think about the naysayers, the unbelievers, and people that have this scarcity mindset, and they look at everybody as their competition, opposition.
Mm,
Now, competition is a part of life. I think it's the way that you manage that. I think it should be more of a self motivator to make yourself better, not in the sense of that person's an enemy or whatever else.
absolutely.
But what can you learn from that circumstances? The only time that we grow is when we're covered with dirt. I
Yep.
mean, think about plants. I mean, when you're buried, you're isolated, it's dark, it's quiet, and you have to be reflective. And what can you take from those circumstances to flourish? And then what do plants bear? They bear more seeds to be harvested for other people. And so I think that was beautiful that he invited his adversaries. And I guess you could classify somebody who's your adversary as your enemy. I know that's a strong word, but to say, I'm going to bring you along. There's more to this story than you know.
Yeah.
And I think that takes humility. I think that takes a lot of personal growth. I think that's also when you speak in love and truth, when you couple those things together, I think that educates people on a whole nother level and it makes them adaptable. And sometimes in life, your biggest adversary can be your biggest champion. And
Mm.
how awesome is that? That's a winner.
That's so awesome. That
Yeah.
is so awesome.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how we how we fill an hour and a half and not talk about the work that you're doing. Because we could go deep into this. This is so, and this is, I know we did this last time, and especially when you brought up the sales, you talked about being a mom
Yeah.
and going out and getting a job and like, you
And
know,
planning to do nothing. And I still do that. Like
yeah.
I have to put it on my calendar and my husband still rolls his eyes. He'll go, what do you, I said, between 2 and 3, nothing.
It's going to stay that way.
It's going to stay that way.
Well, and even talking about beforehand, you know, having the staycation,
Right.
you know, this weekend or this week coming up,
Just
which congrats.
thank you. I'm so excited. But, again, it's just knowing where you're at in life and knowing, in order to be, I think we're all vessels. We all carry things. We all have purposes. We all have abilities and talents. And in order to be optimum and run at our best, we do have to be quiet. We do have to take rests. We do have to have that. And so
Ah,
I'm just
absolutely.
resting for the next success. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So I know a lot has changed since the last time
Oh,
we had a
yeah.
conversation. You moved to a new organization.
Yeah.
You're promoted through that organization.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this again is a total God thing. So like my heart has always been in community. My heart is being able to use my gifts and things to enhance other people's lives. And so I was taken on this path to be able to work. I was a volunteer with Livingston County Habitat for Humanity for years, and love their missions, love what they're about, love the organization. Opportunity came up to be employed there. And so I joined the family and been working diligently on stewarding our volunteers, creating a company culture and an organization culture that is engaging and fulfilling people's purposes, that people feel heard. To also be advocating for our programs. And then recently in September, I got promoted to development manager, which I'm thrilled. So I am just taking a deep dive. I have the privilege, Jason, to be able to not only talk about our organization and the programs that impact our local community here at Livingston County, but I have an opportunity to be entrusted to tell people's stories with integrity, with purpose, and with discipline to be able to highlight what needs are out in the community. I know that this community is an amazing community, collaborative community, and on many levels, it is flourishing in a lot of areas, but there's still need. And so being able to have an ability to be able to showcase that and highlight these stories to again collaborate and encourage involvement and impact and put the pieces together. I'm a conduit and a bridge between community, um, our mission and impact, and all of the organizations and networks in between, all the civic organizations, the
Mm.
churches, the affiliations, the schools, and our businesses, whether they're a small business or a corporate entity, because it's important for people to give back. And I create these opportunities that are meaningful and they can see the impact. Who doesn't want to be a part of a winning team?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to provide an opportunity for home ownership or stability and safety, security and affordability, and to be able to have people remain in their home and not be displaced or age appropriately in their home? And that's what I provide. So I'm digging it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Again, like there's you look at the things that we need as humans and to have shelter, have space,
Yes.
just even being able to own a home is just absolutely huge.
Yeah. It's not many times in life, and I'm guilty of this too, is that we have this list in our mind of the boxes to check in life, whether that means successes if you reach these milestones. I mean, it's a matrix for us. It's not meant as a way to compare or anything, but it's like if I've hit this pinnacle or I've done this or I've checked this box, I must be going in the right direction. But can you imagine a life circumstance that would change, whether it be a medical thing, a financial thing, or just a life altering circumstance that may not be in your control, that you don't have a primary um, security? I mean, home is not just a place we go. That's where we lay our head at night.
Hmm.
That's where we share memories, where you create traditions, where children study, where they bring that's their sanctuary to decompress. It's where people make plans for the future. And if you don't have your primary needs met, you can't move up in the hierarchy of other emotional intelligences and other things in life. So being able to change the trajectory of somebody's life by simply highlighting it, speaking about it, being passionate about it. I take it very personally because I experienced homelessness in my life when I was a single mom. And that can look like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to get really technical, I was very displaced due to circumstances. But in that time frame, making sure I had a safe place for me and my children to sleep kept me up at night. And so until that got resolved, I couldn't think about all the other things. There's no personal growth during that time. The kids, trying to shelter them from all those experiences. So, and being able to live through that experience myself personally, It has ignited a permanent passion for me because I don't believe that God wastes a hurt. I'm very passionate about it because it's real to me and I see that in other people and I can recognize that. I want to bring that to other people's radar because they're really, we live in a community, we live in a society, and we live in a time where if we all contribute, and whether that's through time or giving sacrificially, financially, we have the ability to change somebody's life, not only for that one individual, but to change it for a legacy. Because of me getting stable home environment for my children. My daughter graduated from college. Never thought that was a possibility. I launched a career. I gained wonderful, meaningful friendships, and my life is in a completely different place. I want that for other people.
It's incredible. You talk about just that impact of it, and then you share that story, and it brings it so far to life. Because I didn't
Hmm.
know that, and were able
Yeah,
to talk briefly at the Blues Fest, and you were telling me
yeah,
why you were so passionate. And
right.
it's one of those things. And for me too, I grew up. I didn't realize it was like the definition of homelessness in the sense of like
Right.
we didn't have a home or an address. We stayed in my grandma's basement for a
Yes.
period of time while
Yes.
looking for somewhere to stay after my mom had left my abusive father.
Yes.
And for me, that was a home filled with love. Like
Yes.
I would have preferred to be at my grandma's house than anywhere.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're sleeping on couches.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like people paint in their mind, and that's all that it's like the education and experience. It's really hard. People think homelessness means that, it looks like this. Maybe you're on the street and you really truly don't have any shelter. And that is one form. But, being able to live in families' homes or having a shared residence or having, to move around in different places and be displaced, there's a lot of stress that goes into that. And like I said, if your shelter and your food and your basic needs aren't being taken care of, it's really hard to get to a healing spot and a growth spot where we all want to be. Everybody wants to be in a position where they can give back and things like that. But sometimes circumstances just happen. The page turns and you're not the one writing the things on the page. You just are the one dealing with that. And so, my story is I had two hefty garbage bags, walked out of my home, two kids, no job, no insurance, no hope, but we were safe. And so I went through all of that on the other side, not to just carry it around as a badge or say, I got through that, let me check that box. Now it's my purpose and mission to make sure that's
Mm.
not going on anywhere else. And whether that person's going through the exact same thing I went through or their circumstances are different, the fact of it is I hear them, I see them, and I am going to be tenacious in being able to share that in a respectful way with integrity and purpose so that people can hear. Because there are people out there that are generous, there are people out there that want to help. And however they want to help, it's like the fable stone soup. Um, you have the pot, the community is the pot, it
Yep.
holds the water, everybody contributes their little piece, and by the end, you're going to have something that's nourishing for the soul.
Mm.
And so I am so passionate about this. That's what makes me want to push harder and further is because it's not for me. I'm asking for other people, but it's also healing for my soul because I know that I didn't go through those difficult times for no reason.
Mm.
So it was for a purpose. And so we have a partner family, and it is a single mom, and she has two lovely children, and she's working three jobs. She's doing everything right. And we're delighted to have her in our programming, and I'm going to fight hard for her.
Tell me a little bit about the programming because this
Yeah.
is really cool because I have a gist of what Habitat for Humanity does. I don't
Yeah.
know the full story, and so I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So, Habitat for Humanity, we service Livingston County, and our missions are to seek God in what we do. It is a Christian organization, and what we do is we are trying to find opportunities for people to stay in their home, whether that is through our Brush with Kindness program, which services a lot of senior citizens, people who are infirmed or having financial hardships. Um, if somebody is experiencing those things, it's really hard to think about, I need a new roof. So what happens? That goes on the back burner and then it becomes, unsafe. And so that's where we step in and we evaluate the situations with the roof, the sunken in floors, the water heater, the furnaces, whatever it may be. Maybe it's a mobility ramp. And we assess the need. We look for partners in the community to help us to fund those things. And we have the volunteers. The volunteers are the heart and livelihood of our organization. And we couldn't do it without the coupling of the financial support and our volunteers. And so we meet those needs. So that's one arm is the Brush with Kindness program, which we have completed about 129 projects this fiscal year, which is amazing.
Just here in Livingston County?
Just here in Livingston
Wow.
County. And and some people we discover when we go into their homes that we go in for a certain purpose, but then we find out that there's other needs. You dig a little deeper, you listen a little more carefully, and some of those partner families we refer to other sources. So we focus on the home repair, the critical home repair. So if it falls out of those parameters, this is a great community and we have an amazing network of amazing nonprofits that support other needs. So if we catch wind of any of these other things, those are referred out. And then we have our partner family home build, which we're in high swing. It's in downtown Fowlerville. We've announced the partner family home, which we're delighted. And we project to have this home built in the early spring around February, March. And we have had numerous corporations that have come out and had tremendous wall raising days. We've installed, we've had companies come in and installed electricity. And again, it's that stone stoop mentality that we've had companies and partnerships that have donated their time and resources. It just furthers our mission. It makes those dollars stretch. And with that being all said, we have the Restore, which isn't a program, but it's our largest fundraiser. Our Restore accepts donations within the community and other local businesses. And what they do is they will sell these treasures that are no longer of service to people in their home or new products. And all of the proceeds go towards our programs. So things that people already need, already can use, appliances, furniture.
There's like really nice stuff on the, yeah, there's really nice stuff on the site.
Right. I'd be in trouble. So,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
so I walk in like, okay, not today. But so we have all these wonderful resources. It does two purposes. It not only provides a resource and something obtainable for people in the community that's affordable and nice. It also funds our programming. And we're really proud to say that 89% of every cent of the dollars we get in, 89% of that goes directly into our programming. So when you're purchasing a lamp, when you're purchasing a refrigerator, when you're donating online, when you're attending an event, that's going to hope.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So how can you not love that? I wake up every day before my alarm, and I can't say I've always done that, but I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And for whatever season, whatever reason, they've got me. I feel the privilege, like I said, to be able to share these stories and share the impact, because the big key is about, we talked about connecting and having relationships to be that trusted advisor, not only to our partner families and our clientele, but to people in the community, to be able to highlight their business, to market them, because who wouldn't want to be aligned with a mission that has such a great impact in this county?
5,000%. And again, you look at that. When you talk about the 129 projects that are
Yes,
done across the year, and I think there's a lot of people that live in Livingston County that don't realize that there
right.
is that big of a challenge within our own
Yes,
county.
absolutely. And the thing of it is it's not so polarized. In some counties, it's more
Yeah,
polarized.
you
You can
see it more.
definitely see that. But what it is we talked about these circumstances and incidences. So if somebody's child goes to the ER and they have an emergency and they have to attend with this medical bill or their car breaks down, that is what makes it from I'm just maintaining to I am struggling. And so we try to come in between all of that and provide a gap. Now, we don't give away homes and we don't give away these services, but we provide a means of hope for home ownership and also for existing homeowners. So there is sweat equity involved. And that can look like a lot of different things. That can be through volunteerism. It could be through their contribution financially to that process. Our partner families who go through the process to be selected have to be mortgage ready. So there is some preparedness, but that's what weighs out the scale. And what's responsible about that and makes us good stewards is that it makes our dollars stretch more. We
Mm,
can help more people.
mm.
So we're really advocating for not only our programming, we're advocating for people in the community who have these needs. And then we're just trying to make more friends in the community and um, find people that align with our missions, align with wanting to provide this security and different things. And it does provide a resource for a home, but it transcends farther than that. It provides them the opportunity to move up in the hierarchy. So now they're not thinking about where am I laying my head? How are we going to arrange this? Is this place safe, physically, emotionally safe for my family? Now they can think about is I'm getting ready for school. I'm getting ready for work. I'm going to take a class. I'm going to better myself. I'm going to develop and hone my skills. I have more intellectual time to think about what is my purpose? How can I give back? Those are all intrinsically in each one of us, and to be able to have those
Mm.
opportunities.
Yep.
One of our partner families that recently received a key to their home and is a homeowner and thriving. Um, their son, they for the first time has his own room and has his own space and is engaging with social interaction and inviting friends over and is doing well in school. Those are the things that are long term. I mean, and sometimes you can see the turnaround in those things and you can see the data and the stats right away. And sometimes you can't, but the thing of it is the success rate just explodes. And then you're removing that scarcity mindset and that fear in that child's heart and mind that they can do it too.
Mm.
And that was probably the biggest gift I gave my children. They're adults now. So that's what they told me is that um, Mom, you weren't afraid of a lot of stuff. And we know that if we work hard enough and we try hard enough, it can happen. And so that's invaluable. That is a life skill that everyone needs, no matter where you're at, no matter if you're six figures or you're just scraping by, or you need to know that, what is your purpose, what is your plan, and that you're making a difference. And you don't always see it right away, but you got to keep fighting for it. And so my mission is to fight for those to be heard and to be seen. And so I'm calling in all my friends. I want to make new friends. I want to tell people. I want to shout it from the rooftops about what Habitat does in the community, the successes that we've had, and it hasn't been singular just because of our efforts. It's because of a community effort. And so I'm just adding to that culture.
That is so cool. So, how long ago did you go through this?
So this has been, oh gosh, like about 9 years ago. 9 years ago is when everything kind of came up, and I had a circumstance. And sometimes when you have a circumstance, I got in a really bad car accident. And so being a mom, life is busy. You can put blinders on, you can
Mm.
ignore, a lot of different things. And then I was put in a position that all I had was time. And so after evaluation of that, I made discoveries and I knew that, things weren't what they needed to be, and just took steps and measures, and through the support of my family and my church, and my faith, and my kids kept me going because I wasn't just fighting for me, I was fighting
Mm.
for a bigger purpose
Mm.
because I wanted things to be different from them. And I don't hold any bitterness or heartache or anything. I don't have time for any of that. I use that fire in my belly to be able to get myself in a better position. And now I'm using that same fire in my belly to help other people get in a better position.
And that is what a difference maker is. And that's what I talk all the time. I throw the phrase around difference makers, and it means a lot to me in a lot of different ways. But to me, like a core principle in that is that you went through something in life,
Yeah.
you experienced it, you figured it out for yourself, and then you turned around and you're in a situation to help other
Yeah.
people. And it's so cool to look at that. Did you ever think, like, back then, you're 9 years ago going through this experience, that you would be where you're at right now with Habitat for Humanity?
No, not at all. Not at all. Being able to be in a position to be able to use all the things that I dreamed
Yeah.
about. And it's funny how God will take you through life and you'll have transferable skills and they snowball on each other. You don't
Yep.
understand at the time until you're in that. Somebody goes, does anybody know anybody that can do that? And you raise your hand and you go, well, I kind of do. So that is the coolest part. So I really am a firm believer that in life, in you're appointed to positions or opportunities happen that you just have to walk through the door. You just have to have the courage. You don't know everything necessarily, but that's okay. None of us do. It's the thing is that you have to have the willingness and the obedience to do it. And that's what holds people back. We might all be lined up on the same branch and say, if you just take that one step,
Yep.
you're gonna you're gonna prosper. There's gonna be wonderful things laying ahead. You're gonna go into new territory. You're gonna experience things you've never experienced, but you have to take the step. It doesn't come before the step. It's that step of faith that leads into that. And so I'm just
I constantly hear Jesus' voice in my head, like, "Oh, ye of little faith." Like, how many times they say that? Like, how many times they say that through the gospel of, like, "Oh, ye of," like, they're asking him all these questions, or like,
yeah,
go, Peter walking out in the water, and it's like
yeah.
he's walking across the water, and then he starts doubting, and all of a sudden he starts sinking, and it's like, just have the faith, like, I'm going to take care of you,
He
like.
didn't come up with, well, here's the procedures and protocols. If you do this, I'm assuring you everything will be okay. I mean,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is getting out of our own way. It might not make sense. It might seem silly. It might seem awkward. Maybe nobody's ever done it before, but does it mean it won't work? Let's just take a chance. Let's just do it. So I think what people are going to see in the community, that if I may speak humbly, is that there might be new things done, new things spoken, new thing, but I'm okay with that because this is for the greater good of the community. This is for changing lives. These are for children to get out of poverty, out of that cycle, out of that mindset where they know that they can do it too. And what happens is they will further themselves and they will look back and they will have a fire in their belly and it'll be a ripple effect. It's just not a casting of one stone. It's gonna continue. And so that, how can I not be excited? So I come every day excited, looking forward to meeting that next person, looking forward to my next meeting, looking forward to just dropping in. It might seem weird, but doing it, looking up for being able to show up, to hear other people's stories because you just don't know. And you just don't know. You just assume. I mean, we're all walking around doing our
Yeah.
own different
Yep.
thing. And, if somebody has the ability and the vulnerability to be able to do that, life is messy and there's no perfect people. There's no perfect circumstances. But if we can provide that little bit to provide ease, I mean, maybe it's as simple as a smile and say, "Hey, man, that was fantastic." How many times in life have I thought somebody's fantastic and not told them, but not anymore? Like, I don't want to waste that because you don't know how is that going to be cultivated in the future?
Yep.
Maybe that's going to push somebody to just be like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty awesome. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take that extra step and my life is going to be different.
I was blessed to have the opportunity to have I've had a few people, but there's one particular guy that came into my life when I needed it the most that
Yeah.
like pushed me, that saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, you know.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know like all of a sudden the emotion, but it's like it's real stuff, you know. Like he saw
yes.
something in me that I didn't see in myself, and that guy came in and changed the whole trajectory of my life by giving me that belief, by like pushing me. He didn't make it easy, you know, like
Yes.
but like it's been ever since that's that pay it forward mindset, and it's even why I do what I do now.
Yeah.
A big core reason is like he came in, he believed in me, and he changed my life. What can I do to open doors for other people? Because again, hell is meeting that person that you could have been. There's so many
Right.
of us out there that are not following the omens. They're not following the whispers.
Right.
They're being told go do this thing, but then they're like, well, what's the odds of ever be successful? They start doing all the research, and you got to take that step. You got
Right.
to have that faith. You got to go out there and start walking on the water, or you're going to sit there with a lot of doubt, and
You're
you're
going to be with
never
your floaties.
go out your floaties, right? Do it scared.
Do it
You don't
scared.
know. And this
No.
is the thing, and like you're in a situation where you're with your kids, and you're going through this extremely painful experience. I'm
Yeah.
sure it wasn't fun by any means, and you're asking like God, why me? We you sit and you could question the plan at any given
Right.
point, but you were meant to go through that to be in
Yeah.
this spot that you're in right now.
I think of it as being like going through physical training and working out and different things like that. You could all day long want
Hmm.
and desire to have more strength, more stamina, and different things. But if you don't use those muscles, physical muscles, spiritual muscles, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
And I've also found out too that if you don't obey what God puts before you and you don't take a risk, even if it seems silly or if it doesn't seem like it fits in your box, He's going to ask somebody else. He's only going to ask you so many times. So I am just so grateful for the people in my life, for my Habitat family, for our board, for believing in me and supporting me and giving me this opportunity. And it just continues to spur my desire to want to do more. And I am just very thoughtful, intentional, and prayerful in my interactions and what I do, um, because I hold a lot of responsibility. I mean, I don't have all the answers, I don't have all the resources, but I just, to be trusted is an important thing and to have people's trust and belief and to be able to go out and do that. So I try really hard to tread lightly. I'm not sloshing in those puddles. Might be taking a few ginger steps here and there, but I'm making treadway. I'm out of the boat. I'm walking on the water.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you because you talked about like you got involved with Habitat.
Yeah.
At what point did you get involved with Habitat or start volunteering or working with the organization?
Yeah. So I was in corporate America, and my background is sales, marketing, public relations, and all of the good things, and loving what I'm doing. But I always had a heart and a leaning to all the nonprofits. And so, there were certain nonprofits that really spoke to me. Habitat was one of them. I got involved with events and sat on a committee and helped with some of those things, and you know contributed in the areas that needed to be contributed and shared ideas. Little did I know my event planning experience and different things like that would lend itself to some successes, to contribute to the greater good and the wonderful committees that we have. And so contributing to that and just really diving in deeper and deeper. And then an opportunity came up, and I'm like, again, I have an opportunity for growth and uncertainty, or I can be stagnant and be safe. And so I chose to take that leap of faith, and I've had peace about it. the whole time, and there's been a lot of growing and a lot of changing. Um, and I'm really excited about it. And I know that it's not neat and clean. There'll be messy times and there'll be changing of directions and all these other things, but I'm okay with that. I figure if I can survive some of the things that I've survived in my
Mm.
life, that this isn't what I'm doing isn't life and death in that sense, but it is changing lives and providing hope and providing peace and providing continuity and connection in the community. And isn't that what all thriving communities need? Isn't that what we all want as human beings? And so, whether it's through my words or my actions, my support, my enthusiasm, I'm all in. All the chips are pushed in. So, there's no other option. I just keep walking.
And the doors keep
The
opening.
doors keep opening. The doors keep opening. But we talked about this. When you come to the table with open hands and not closed hands and not an agenda, I mean, sure, we all have tasks and goals and things that we want to do. But when you come with open hands and not closed hands, people sense that, people
Mhm.
feel that. You have the opportunity to listen. You have the opportunity to maybe share and get to know somebody on a totally different level that maybe they've been wanting to tell this story. Maybe they've been wanting to share something that they've been carrying around, but they just have an opportunity. And so when you give somebody the privilege and the opportunity to have the floor, that automatically builds respect and trust and builds, you know, all the authentic things that come from that. And then once you have more information, then you can make some good wisdom and decisions. You can't make decisions without knowing. I can't come to you and say, Jason, I know how to grow your business. Well, I don't know anything about your business until you tell me.
Until you tell me.
Until you tell me. So you have
And how
to.
could I help you
How
until I know?
I can help you with this for 1995.
That's why I love all the spammers on LinkedIn. You get these long messages of like, I can take your business to the next level. Like, you don't know me.
Right, you don't know me. So that's the first thing, getting to know people, and the process can seem, especially from people that are not truly in sales, and connecting in those relationships may have a greater understanding, but it's a long process. It's not an overnight unless you already have a developed relationship,
Mm.
and then seeing if there's any connections there. But I don't stop there. So you have the connections with the relationship. If it doesn't seem equitable or feasible for whatever reason, that's when you ask for referrals. That's when you really hit home and say, these are the missions and the programs and our goals. Do you know of anybody else? Is there any way, I know we talked about providing resources this way. I understand that this might not be a feasible option for your business, but what about this? Are you looking at developing corporate culture? Are you looking at maybe making an impact incrementally leading up to this point? But it takes that trust, and it's the same thing. And I'm not necessarily selling a product, but I essentially selling a dream.
Mm.
I'm selling a dream of our partner families, for their security, their safety, being able to use the full capacity of homes. I mean, Jason, we've had family members that have been trapped in their house that, during the winter, it wasn't safe for them to go outside, due to mobility issues and not being able to exit for doctor's appointments and much needed things. Um, that barrier is gone. Now they can come and go. People not enjoying the full capacity of their home, whether it's enjoying sitting out on their deck. If you have mobility issues and you can't walk, you have to enjoy what's around you.
Mm.
And so not being able to enjoy those elements, because we all need to relax, we all need connection, we all need to feel safe. And if you don't have those things, we're not operating in the same channels,
Not at
and
all.
depression can sink in and all these other things that can cause
It's hard enough to
problems.
be successful. It's hard enough to
Right.
to live a happy life, and then
And
to
have
have
everything be
this.
status quo, but to have major obstacles and challenges, that's
Yep.
tremendously difficult. So being able to remove some of those barriers for people, for lack of a better term, the before and the after are just really shocking and impactful, and seeing their faces.
Ah,
And what better testimony do you get than somebody who went from hopelessness to hope? Who's going to sing that story? I don't need to talk about it anymore. They're talking about it in their own words. And so I'm
I can
just,
only imagine the just amazing things you get to see. Again, like the height of the emotions and seeing
oh,
people
yeah.
on their best day or on one of their best days, getting that hope, being filled with that hope. That's just got to be priceless.
It is. It is. And my first week with Habitat, when I started, I had the privilege of going out on lots of different meetings with our programmers and different things like that. So I got to meet partner families and got to experience all of our different programs at different capacities. And that week I cried more
Oh my
than I
God.
had in a long time. And it's not difficult for me, and I'm not apologetic about it because I'm
Me
made
neither.
for a certain reason. That's part of, and if people have a difficult time with that, that is what it is. But authentically, I feel things deeply, and I feel other people's stories deeply. I think that's just fuel to my fire.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
how can you do things without passion? I don't know how to do things without passion. If I don't believe in what I'm doing, I'm not able to be successful. And
Yeah.
so I believe in what I'm doing. I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen how it's changed people's lives. I've seen the tears in their eyes. I've seen the kids screaming and hugging their mom and jumping in their dad's arms. I've seen people race in their wheelchairs down the ramp saying, I'm free. I don't, how can that not evoke emotion? How can that not evoke emotion? How can you say, I'm finally home, I've been in respite, or I've been in this facility and different things because it was safe for me to, I don't know any other place than my home. How can you not be passionate? How can you not be emotional? So yes, I will bring puffs and tissues with me everywhere I go. And I want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do on that part. It's not only meeting a need, yes, it does check a box, but being able to have an opportunity and a platform for that person to share their story. Now, does everybody feel comfortable doing that? No. But predominantly, yes. If asked, I would say most of our partner families do, because when they're told, this feeling you're having right now, we want to multiply that. We
Mhm.
want to help more people. But in order to help more people, we need to share stories. Can we do that? So we have protocols and things in place that we can do that ethically and with their permission. And it's a beautiful thing. But like you said, once that project's done, then we get all these applications for other ones because now people know we're a resource. So the need isn't going away. It's just the community's being more educated in the areas that we there's needs, referrals for other people, and people feel good about that, and people feel good about knowing that, wow, you guys are really the hands and the feet making these things happen. So we want to support that. And like I said, we couldn't do it without our corporate donors, without our sponsorships, without people attending our events, without our volunteers, without people supporting us in every avenue that, referrals, just letting people know about us because I would love to be out of a job and find my next mission. I would love for there to be nobody in need in Livingston County and to find another mission to be able to help people. But for now,
You have a lot of work to do
I
still.
have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do.
So tell me about that. What's some of the things you're working on right now?
So right now, we are working on our partner family home. It's in downtown Fowlerville, and we have the roof on, and we're getting it all winterized and situated with that. And we're working on a Brush with Kindness programs. And we'll be telling more stories here in the up and coming months. We kind of want to savor these stories because they really talk about the heart of our missions, but
Mm,
we've been able to meet some really amazing needs that have been integral. And it makes me sad to know that people have been long term suffering or enduring, um, problems with their homes, and now they're being taken care of. And then we have our up and coming gala. I am so excited. We've rebranded it and we're relaunching it. It's called Sawdust to Sparkle. And how that transcends into what we do is humble beginnings
mm,
and providing hope. And what sparkles more than hope?
mm,
And so,
mm.
my call to action is finding people in the community not only to attend and support the event, but financially to support the event through sponsorship, and through donations. So if you see me in the community shaking hands, patting people on the back, and popping in and out of businesses, that's what I'm doing. I'm advocating for our partner families. I'm advocating for our programs so that we can meet more needs.
I'm glad we dove into that because that is, you mentioned there's the working with the families,
Yes.
there's all that work, but then in order to make that work happen, you have to partner
Yeah.
with people in the community, businesses in the community
Yeah.
that want to sponsor, and so
Right.
um, how do you do that? You
Uh,
know,
I
get it. I think I know the answer, especially when you're so passionate and it's
right.
so easy to sell.
Right.
And I say sell because it's like that serving, but when you can share these
Yeah.
stories, and I say this all the time on the podcast, but stories are data with soul. And as you
It
share that
is.
story, how wouldn't you want to get involved?
Right, absolutely. So every day it looks different. Every day it looks different. Some days I had to dust off my all my sales tactics and my experience and different things, but sometimes it's just being brave and going out in the community and saying, "You know what? I'm gonna go through this territory of this group, this area, this segment of the county, and I'm just going to meet people. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to get to know them on a deeper level. I'm going to let them know about what we're doing and what's up and coming, and seeing if there is any cohesion, any ability to partner, any interest and ability in different things like that, and then just see where the conversation goes. Do I come fully prepared to be able to close those opportunities and deals and different things? Absolutely. But do I come expecting every situation to be that? No. It's just being
Yeah.
immensely flexible in the community, surveying all the networks, all the chambers, including all of our existing relationships, and just reaching out and saying, "Hey, remember when you supported us? Remember when you had this build event? Here's another opportunity. How you said that you love our missions, you love our programs, you would like to help us more in the future. Well, I'm providing you opportunity." And then it's really at that point that's their choice.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's another measure of getting to know a new person in the community, a new business, somebody who is launching other things, and saying, "Hey, I see some potential cohesion here. I see that we align, our missions align. I see that um, you've been, your business is really trying to highlight, different things. I know you're community focused. Can I tell you a few stories? Can I share something with you?" And then just see where that goes. I think just staying fluent and um, in tune with what's going on in the community.
Hmm.
But again, just not leaving any stone unturned. And if it doesn't work out there, just saying, do you do business with anybody who has helped Habitat in the past, who believes in, snuffing out these things that are causing a lot of pain and different things in our community. We want to negate homelessness. We want people to age with dignity in their home. We want to provide opportunities to provide a hand up, not a hand out to people. And is there any way
Hmm.
you can help me? And sometimes people are able to help monetarily. Sometimes they are able to volunteer, or sometimes they're able to champion, and they're all valuable.
So tell me the difference. Of we understand, obviously donating money
Yeah.
is we get that one. How can
Yeah.
people volunteer? And then tell me what that after that. Tell me what the championing is.
Yeah. So volunteering, we have two major areas in which people can volunteer. We have our construction programs, which would be our A Brush with Kindness, and also our Partner Family Home Build, where people can volunteer as a group, a team, or an individual and help out with those opportunities. They can see the opportunities that are available on our located on our website. And we have a restore. It's completely run by volunteers.
Hmm.
On an average week, we have 60 volunteers, faithful, regular volunteers
Wow.
that do the day-to-day operation. Now, we do have some staff. They are also just as dedicated, just as passionate, just as in love with our missions, that are dedicated to doing the work, and also mentoring our volunteers, training our volunteers, onboarding our volunteers, troubleshooting with our volunteers, and working alongside them.
All the
So you can
logistics of employees.
see where the word family comes in,
Yeah.
because it's a fun culture, and it's also, you're working so closely with people. So how could you not have
On a mission
those
with purpose that
on a mission with
literally fulfills
purpose?
people. Yeah.
So how can you not be family? And then our champions are people like you, Jason, who provide opportunities for me to share stories
Mm.
and testimonies and platforms, whether that be in forms of media, going out and sharing our events or our stories on social media, subscribing to our website, following us, telling other people about it when conversations come up about these things, and saying, "Hey, have you been listening about all the great things that Habitat is doing in Livingston County? Do you know about this signature event that's coming up?" Those are the champions, and those are just as valuable as all the other tools, because it's just not me speaking. It's more powerful. Just like having a shared testimony and having the person who is the benefactor of that gift and receiving that opportunity as a hand up, for them to say in their own words, "This is where I started, and now I'm here. Never thought it was possible." Those are the most beautiful, captivating stories. I mean,
Well, it's my pleasure, and so much gratitude to have that opportunity to have a platform where I can be a
yes,
champion, and because again, people need to hear those stories. And I've known about Habitat. Obviously, I've known you've been,
yeah,
but and I purposely didn't dive in too far because I'm like I want to have a full out conversation because I get the gist and what you're
yeah,
doing, but to tell these impactful stories, and then it's so phenomenal that you've had the experiences so you get
yeah.
it, and just to be able to drive that is amazing.
Personal passion, persistence. That's what drives me. I mean, the core of my faith, but it's personal to me. I lead with passion, and I don't take no for an answer. What did Jesus do when he went in the communities? He shook the dust off his sandals.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that can be a really hard blow for people that, again, we're all in sales, whether people want to dub that or not. We all have influence. We're all in sales, but to not get hung up on that no. So I've always been taught that your next no is one closer to your
Yep.
yes. So you just keep asking,
Yep.
and you just keep finding, and you keep looking, and you keep, not everybody's a good fit, and it's okay. And it's not personal, and you just continue to move on. And so I just come armed with my stories and my experiences, and people that listen, I share. And
One is again, it's the stories that pull people in, and again,
yes,
you look at the emotion of seeing a family, or you're seeing the kids jumping
yeah,
up and down and hugging their
yeah,
dad, and like yes, to have that safety, to have that security,
yes.
to have a place to grow up that you're not ashamed of.
Right, absolutely. I mean, because a lot of these circumstances, that do have families and different things, that um, it makes them have to grow up faster, and we as parents, you want every opportunity for your kids. So providing the sense of security, home and tradition and safety, and that there's no barriers, no stigma. They can bring friends home. They can have a place to study. They have an easy place to prepare meals and experience these things. A safe place to lay their head. Some kids, this is their first bedroom. Talking about bawling my first week, when you say this is the first time I've not had to share a room or I've had my own bedroom, I'm not sleeping on the floor, I'm not sleeping on a couch. Yeah, that how can I not say I'm going to make one more phone call?
Oof.
How can I not say I'm going to go to one more event? How can I not say I'm going to take a chance, maybe look silly?
Maybe someone
Yeah,
tell you no.
maybe somebody's going to tell me no. I personally don't care because I'm fighting for other people's opportunity and hope. So,
I shared this story with my boot camp group a few months ago because again, what I see pulls people back from living their dream or fulfilling their
yeah.
purpose is that fear of what people are going to think or
Right,
say, or I mean, how long did you spend typing on that email to get the perfect
right,
words that someone's not going to read anyways? Like all
right.
the all that stuff. And I share this story that when I started my business, I wanted to learn from other people that were doing the same thing. And so I was going out
Right.
and having conversations with a lot of other coaches and consultants. I would sit and, I'd go get coffee and pick their brain. And something I realized, I learned two things really quickly. One, I was going through imposter syndrome because I'm like, these people are amazing. Like they
Right.
are true difference makers. They have these certifications. They've done
Right.
coaching or consulting for so long. They're really great at what they do. But I also got really grateful that I did spend my career not only doing sales, but doing sales the right way and
Right.
then teaching other people how to do that. Because what I was finding is like, wow, these people are amazing. They're incredible. They can change and make such a difference with the people in the worlds that they're working in.
Yes.
However, they're sitting there giving away their stuff.
Right.
They're afraid to have the conversation or afraid to ask or in
Yeah.
risk of being salesy. And I was watching a lot of things happening from people's internal, even if they had had a career in sales or they knew how to sell
Right.
a little bit, they had never sold themselves to this level. And so there was
Right.
a constant struggle. Well, one of the first times that I realized this, I was out and there was a young lady that was telling me about what she was doing, and then she started telling me that she was struggling, and I was just seeing like you have a purpose, you have a passion. Like when she talked about what she was doing from a coaching standpoint, she
Yeah.
lit up. But
Right.
when people have to give up on their dreams and their passions because they can't make money, and now they got to go
Right.
back and they got to get a job that they can't find a job that helps them do
Right.
that same passion or do that same thing, relieve that same thing. They're now in this soulless thing. And man, so anyways, the long story short of it is I didn't have the conversation because I didn't want to sound salesy. I
Right.
didn't say, I can help you because I
Right.
didn't invite this person to have a conversation about me coaching them. I wanted to
Right.
pick their brain. And so I didn't want to risk sounding salesy. I didn't say anything. And I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about her. Right. And it was one of those things that kept popping up all the time. It's like, looking at it back at it now, God's nudges of like, reach
Right.
out, reach out. Well,
Right.
I let a couple months go by and I ended up finally caving in and calling this lady and she answered and she was like, yeah, she was like, you know what? I had to give it up. I had to go back and I had to get a job. And she was like, just, how painful it was. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to do that again. I'm never
Right.
going to like hold myself back at the risk of me sounding salesy or stupid or whatever because I could have before she went and did that, I could have helped her.
Right. It's making the choice for them.
Yeah.
So it's already succumbing to maybe this won't happen. This is a no. So I'm just going to be okay with that. And that is a very difficult thing to overcome. But we have to go through those lessons
Yeah,
in
we do.
order to get to that point where it's like you're adamant, this is never going to happen again because I can help people,
Yeah.
and that's your passion. I can help people, and I can help people find their purpose. There's power in purpose. And when you have power and purpose, that leads to passion. And that leads to more people, and it leads to more connectivity, and it leads to a stronger community. And when you have all these people bouncing around, that's like ping pongs going off all at the same time. It's like very
Yes.
exciting. So,
Very exciting. And you're
yeah,
right. It's that lesson of like, I'm never gonna let that happen again at the
right.
risk of sounding salesy or whatever, however
Yeah,
people want to interpret it. This is
right.
me coming from my heart of like I can help. And
Yeah.
so probably it's about a month and a half ago now, maybe 2 months. I had somebody reach out that I've been connected with for a while. She lives in Canada. I met her through, she was on one of my podcasts a long time ago, and I've watched her content. She's this great content. She really helps women unlock themselves
Yeah.
from a lot of things. And I've watched her content. Her content's really good, but I know every time she calls me, she's struggling. Well, she ended up scheduling a meeting with me, and I didn't know what it was about. And so we get on this Zoom,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Hey, I thought of you. I've got this question." She said, "I've been really struggling with my business." She's like, "I've only got 6 months of savings left. And so I'm going to keep doing the business, but I'm starting to think, should I get a job and should I find something that's aligned with what I'm already doing so that I can at least feel good about that?" And so she called me for advice on whether she should get a job or start looking for a job. And I was like, you called the wrong person, right? Like, I'm not that guy that's go ahead and play it safe and go
Right.
play the job. I'm
You
the one
just
that's like,
told me we have 6 months. Your glass is half full.
your glass is half full. I'm like,
Yeah.
my question would be, what do you have to make in order to not take any money out of your savings? What
Right.
money? How much do you have to make in order to not take any more money so you can get more time? And I ended up finding out that it was a very small, reasonable amount of money. It was like $4,000, which,
Yeah.
not a small amount of money.
Yeah.
You got to work for it, but like
It's obtainable.
it's very attainable. And so like I started asking her questions about what's your pricing and like, diving into some things. And I found out that she was she was like, it takes a while to sell
Yeah.
people. She was like, it takes me 5 free coaching sessions before they're signing up if they sign up. And she's like, by that time I'm changing their life. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're not charging people. You're just like literally giving them 5 free coaching sessions and then I'm like, how many people then sign up? She's like, well, not even very many, because a lot of them, we already do all the work and they dramatically change their
Oh,
life. And
you're finding all this stuff. So
I'm like shaking it out.
you're like, whoa, I got answers.
But that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like she has a purpose. I'm here to help remove the barriers. Like God put me here in the spot that I'm in exactly at this time to remove the barriers for people so they can live his plan. And so I'm like, I'm not the guy that's like, go get a job. I'm like
Right.
doing like, let's figure out how we can make this work. And so she just told me she's living off in savings, right? That she doesn't have any very, very much money. And so she was like, so what would you do if it was me? And I was like, I would hire me. Like
Right.
I would do a session with me.
Right.
I would dive deep and like really put together your sales plan, your sales process, and get this locked down, because you're so close to making money. Your marketing's good.
Right.
You're driving people in. They
Right.
just don't know how, and you're not being confident. And why would anybody buy the milk when they get the whole cow for free? Like you're doing 5 sessions with them. Like
Right.
you've changed their life, and then you haven't found another way to take them to another level. You've already solved their problem.
You added so much value.
So-
You removed that barrier.
So
you
it's-
were like, woohoo.
So I offered her a coaching session, and she was like, would you, she's like, would you be willing to do this for free? And I was like, no, what kind of coach would I be if I'm telling you got to charge for your stuff and I'm going to give it to you for free? I'm like, absolutely not. Like,
Right.
no, I'm like, no, I have a family.
Right.
I have bills. This is my dream. I've got to fund it. I'm not being greedy here by asking you for money.
No.
I can change your life. However, I've got to pay. I've got to eat. I've got to pay my bills. I've got to make sure that I don't go back and I'm calling somebody else asking them if I could get a job.
She had to recognize her value too. And it's not checking a box. It's identifying a problem. I can meet your need. And there's value. Would you like this solved?
Yep.
If I needed my gallbladder out, I'm not going to go to an auto mechanic.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to a really reputable physician. If I have a need in another area, that's where that trusted person comes in. And you identified her. Wow, that's a whole perfect segue. You identified her problem, you connected with her, And did you
I had a
start?
solution for
You
a
had a
problem,
solution.
and it wasn't like me being like she had hired a bunch of coaches. One of the
Yeah.
reasons why she was boiling down her money is because she'd done so many programs, so many one size fits all. Like you need to do this because so and so did this, and they got successful because of this. But nobody was getting to understand her system, and putting that together in a process for her.
Okay.
And that's the thing is like there are so many one size fits all sales and marketing plans and companies,
Right.
but what is your difference? What difference are you making in the world? And and then what are your strengths? Now let's build a system around that as opposed to trying to be somebody else.
When you truly know who you are as an individual, it's bringing people together as part of your team and your network. There's always somebody that's going to be more proficient, more experienced, or better at that. Why invest my minutes? I only have so
Yes.
many of them. Why invest it in something that I'm never going to be masterful at? I'm going to only be marginal at.
Yes.
So let me just do what I have to do here, but maybe that is a resource that needs to be contracted out. Maybe that's something that needs to be a symbiotic relationship where I'm great at this, you're great at this. Let's partner together. I'll do this, you do this, and we'll all be good. It's just figuring it all out. I was telling somebody in a meeting today, this morning, I said one of my superpowers is I always have dubbed myself as being a MacGyver, literally like the TV
I
show.
love it.
Well, don't
Yes.
resemble, thank goodness, but I have that mindset of what are my resources? Always been that way. And I think too, I had to be super good at those skills being a single mom. But what are my resources? What are my limitations? Where are the pitfalls? What are this? How can I make something meaningful out of this? How can I make something quality out of this? Will it meet my needs? Great. Will it meet my expectations? If not, what else do I need? Where can I get that something else?
And I love it because you keep going back to the analogy of the soup. And then as soon as you started saying that, I totally saw the soup. And that's what you're doing.
Right. Watch you get a lot of feeds with soup recipes.
We're hitting the soup like we're trending for soup.
Smart guys. It's not that kind of podcast. All they talked about was soup. No, but it's we only have so many ingredients. I mean, we could use the analogy toolbox, emotional intelligence, experiences that we've lived as people. People come innately into this world with so many tools. How do we develop more tools? You have more obstacles, more projects to build and more things to do, and then you become more masterful. Some maybe not, and if you don't have those tools, maybe you have them in your toolbox.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's why they say it takes a village, and it takes building those relationships.
Listening, just like you listen to your client.
Yep.
Taking the time to truly listen, not work up the next conversation and different things. Listen and then wait and say, would you like to solve this problem? Some people don't. Do you ever run into that as clients where
absolutely.
you have a session, you think it's going good, and you identify everything, you're like, I could help them. And do they ever come back and go, no, it's working. I'm not getting out of the boat, Jason.
I'm not getting out of the boat. So that is such a funny question. So a couple things. One, there's a few years ago, this guy invited me to a meeting, and he said he wanted to get an idea of my coaching and how I could help him. And so I'm sitting down and I'm asking him all these questions, and we're sitting down and I'm like, and it turns out he's completely happy with the business that he has, doesn't want to grow, completely, he has all the customers he needs, all the clients he needs, doesn't want to change anything. So I'm like, so why am I here? What are we? I'm like more than happy to get to know you, but there's really nothing I can do for you if you don't want anything to change. Like if you want everything, if everything is all good, you're happy with your business, you don't want to grow your business, then this is a great coffee, and it's great getting to know you, but there's no real opportunity. You shouldn't hire me, know. And then there are those people, and these are the uncoachable people. Those are the people. What I learned early on in leadership, or what I learned through my leadership experience, is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yes.
There are some people that will complain about all the things. They'll complain
Right.
about their circumstance over and over and over again. And I'm that person. It's like I want to provide a solution. Like
Right.
when I've heard somebody complaining about something that I've experienced that I know I can help them on, I want to share it. I want to help
Right.
them, right?
Right.
It's like the Jesus in the parable about the lamp on the table. Like you don't hide it, right?
Yes.
When you've went through an
Right.
experience, or you have this, you share the light, you share the experience. And so
Absolutely.
I'd be like, hey, we went through something like that, and this is what
Yeah.
we did, and this is how we fit. And people would say, yeah, I just like doing it the way that I do it. Well,
Yeah.
okay, well then just like the results. Then you got to get comfortable
Right.
with the results and the pain that you're feeling in, and don't complain, because what other people are thinking is that you actually want help, but you just like sitting on that painful needle. you
Right.
know
That's the other thing. If there isn't the desire to change circumstances, I mean, was it Einstein that said, just the same reputable, repeating action is insanity.
yeah.
So if you're doing the same thing over and over, your results aren't going to change. Typically,
Yep.
um,
You might think they
you
will, and
might
that's
you
when
might
you're
think they
insane.
do like one more time and maybe they'll change. But I think that's a really good learning lesson for people too. And I think it goes again, stepping out in faith in things. If you're worried about making sure everything's perfect,
Yes.
and
Yep.
I can't fault people because sales is such an independent task. That whole
Oh my God.
mindset,
Yeah. Yep.
it's hard not to live in your brain.
Yep.
But when you just realize and say, I am just like everybody else, and I have value, and I have experiences, and acknowledge the fact. Um, have you ever approached a sales meeting and you've gotten into it and you realize you're not fit to do business? And have you ever dismissed yourself
Oh
and
yeah.
said, this has been wonderful, but I don't think this is a good fit for either one of us. And sometimes that can even spur, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's not meant as manipulative, it's meant as being a mature action
Yeah.
of I don't really see that I'm adding value because maybe they're okay with
Yep.
the circumstances, or maybe it's just not a realm or not a possibility.
Yes, and I've removed it. If I can tell somebody is not coachable, and I'll
Yeah.
see even people that come through my boot camps, I will not tell somebody they should join my boot camp if they sit
Right.
there for the whole 90 minutes and they're like, yeah, but I do it this way. Yeah, but but like I'm fine doing it. Like if
Right.
they're like not listening through the process, listen, I've been in sales for over 20 years, and I know that I can get better. I know
Yes.
that my communication and my relationships could always get better. I consider myself a great communicator and a good
Yes.
relationship builder, but I know that I could always get better. And so if I go to a training, if I go to something that I'm investing my time in, I'm there to learn and to
Yeah.
interact. And if you're there and you're spending your time telling everybody how you do it and that kind of stuff, I don't want you there because we're not going to grow.
Right.
I had this. I had a manager that I inherited. We bought two locations when I was part of this franchise. We bought these two locations, and I inherited these two amazing ladies that I ended up making the managers of the locations. And I took them out to their first event was a leadership training, and so I took my whole leadership team to this leadership training, and it was their first event there. And one of the activities was there was this big poster board note on the walls, and
Yeah.
each poster note had an individual's name on it.
Oh, cool.
And during the break, we were tasked with you have to on the break go up to the wall or go up to each poster board and write something nice or write something that describes that person. That's a positive trait of
Yeah.
theirs. And so for Kelly, I put coachable. She's coachable. And so a couple of years ago, we were talking on the phone, and she was telling me about this new person that she had on her team, and she was like, "You know what, Jason? It's the best. He's so coachable."
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing, Kelly. That's awesome." And she started laughing, and she was like, "You know what?" She was like, "Remember that training?" And she was like reminding me of the situation. She was like, "I'll never forget it." She was like, "You put coachable," and she was like, "I was so offended."
in that direction. She probably thought that you struggled with having an affirmation for her,
Yeah.
but that was a really big real. That's because aren't we lifetime students?
We're lifetime students.
If we're humble,
Yeah.
And you know, we're human beings, you know, we vacillate and whatever, but um being able to be open to new ideas because things change.
And I will take a coachable person any day.
Yeah.
And we used to have the saying with one of the men I mentored of talent. Hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work. And it's that same thing. I could take somebody, and I've even taken like kids that I've coached in basketball, right?
Right.
That like are the least athletic kids that,
Keep coming,
but they
run
keep
more.
coming back. Oh my God, they keep coming back.
Five more laps.
5 more laps. There's this kid, and shout out if Aiden never watches this. Like there was this kid. He was on our we were tryouts for 7th grade basketball, and it was travel team basketball. And I asked my son if he knew the kids. Some of the kids I didn't know, they were trying out, and I asked him if he knew Aiden Mendez was on this roster, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's not any good. He got cut from the 7th grade team." So it was like they have the school team, and then we had travel season after the school season ended. He's like, "Oh, he's not very good. He got cut from the middle school team. He's short. Just didn't have very good things to say about him as a basketball player." So we show up for tryouts, and we get there, and I see this kid like lining up his shot, and he's shooting, and he's making like every shot. And he's like a short kid, but he's making every shot, and he's hustling, and he doesn't have a lot of speed or anything. But man, this kid's like hustling and giving it his all. And I walked up to him as I'm watching him, like we were doing this drill shooting, and I was watching him shoot the ball, and I was like, "Man, you're shooting that pretty good." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I got cut from the middle school team or from the 7th grade team." And I told my mom, I just want to play. He's like, "I just want to play. I just want to be able to play." And so my mom got me a coach, and he's like, I've been going to that shooting coach, and he was like every day after school since I got cut. And I'm like, this kid's on the team. I'm not. You don't even see anything else. Like to know that he put that work ethic in without any guarantee that anything is going to change. He did his homework, and he's still one of my favorite kids I've ever coached. That kid.
That desire, I would always pick people's desire and their tenacity over actual skill because I think that, not always, but I think that people can get lax or complacent. Um, I think having to work hard at something, even if it's not perfect, you're going to see such a growth
Mhm.
arc. Do you find that with your
Oh,
students that you're going to,
absolutely.
so people that are like sales, I just know I want to do this, but I need people to buy into what I'm doing, but I don't know anything about sales. Do you
Yep.
ever have clients like that say like, I don't identify as being a salesperson, but I know
Those are usually the best salespeople, though. Like they don't even realize the gift that they have.
Yeah.
Like so many people, the people that usually tell me I'm the worst salesperson or I don't know how to sell, are usually the ones that understand the concept. And then the people that usually brag that I'm the best salesperson are usually the people that just do a lot of talking.
Wow.
And I think that's the thing is God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. We're supposed to listen 2 times more, if not more, than what we're talking. Because if I'm talking the whole time, how am I really like going back to what we talked about earlier? How do I know you? How do I know your challenge? How do I know those details that I need to know? And so many of us get stuck on the objections at the end because we didn't ask enough questions throughout this process. And so I've had so many people come up to me through the years and be like, "I got this objection. How do I overcome it?" And so I'll start asking them questions. Well, why do they need it? Why,
And they're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
I think they need it.
I think. Well, then you either got to admit you either lost it or you got to have some humility and you got to call them up and you got to say, "Listen, I'm sitting here and I'm kind of struggling.
Yeah.
I don't think I did a very good job of understanding your needs and the challenge that you're having. Do you mind if we dive deep and ask a couple questions so I can really understand?" And now reset the table so you can now dive deep, be curious, and ask some questions. But until you know them and their challenge and what's holding them back, you're not going to sell it. You're going to get objections. They're going to tell you price, or "I got to ask my spouse," or whatever, a surface level objection just to get you out of the door.
Do you think in those type of situations too that people will discover that if they truly have a need, they truly trust you, and they can identify with it adding value, that there is really no sales. It's just you're having a conversation about, I have a need and I have an objection and a problem, whatever it is. And then they talk themselves through that process, and you're
Yes.
just there to facilitate.
Facilitate it.
Let's identify your problem, or
Yep.
what is your concern? Why wouldn't you want to change? Are there any things that I might need to know about, or what other things are problems, or how can I add more value, to this? This isn't just transactional. This is real. This is relational. I'm going to be fighting for you. Those sincerities, that's what is the differentiator, don't you think?
Five
In
thousand percent
between um, being able, I mean, because we can buy stuff everywhere on our
everywhere.
phone, on our
Yep.
computers. We don't even need
Amazon
people.
online
We
really
don't
makes it easy. We don't
I
need
don't
people.
we don't need people,
Yep.
but I think people desire that connection because if they have a question or need to process things, it's easier to combat that with having conversations and unwrap this and unpack it with somebody and saying, am I thinking along the right lines? And different things like that. And do you have a story about how you started off as strangers, but you ended a meeting and you felt like you were like, you're my friend?
I have so many of those stories. Yeah, it's like, um,
Because ideally, isn't that what we want a real connection at
yes,
the end. I mean, not there are some people that do not have the ability to forego the transaction.
yeah, yeah.
And that is what it is, accept it or not. But I want to hear a story. I know you got one.
I know. I'm like, I got to boil down one because there's been so many of them. Okay, so, um, here's a really good one, and I'll try to tell this one without being super emotional. But I talked about how I met the lady earlier from
Yeah.
Coach because she was on one of my podcasts. So um, I met my friend Barbara Ellison through LinkedIn. We had a conversation. I've never met her in person. She lives outside of Chicago. We've never met in person. We've had a couple plans to meet, whether I was down there and she came up here a couple times and it never worked out, or something happened and it hasn't worked out. But so, anyways, I meet her on LinkedIn and we had a conversation, and instantly it was that. Like, we just had she's a 73-year-old at the time. She was 73 years old, lives in Chicago.
Oh,
She's building her business. She's doing coaching and stuff like that. And so we really connected to the point where I had her on this podcast. And then she invited me. She was doing a podcast with her friend. And oh my God, I can't believe I forgot her friend's name right now, but I can see her face. But so she invited me. I was on her podcast and then she was on mine. And then she had this other podcast with her friend she was doing called Everyday Riches.
yeah.
And so I was supposed to be on that podcast. She gave me an invite the night before. And we just, it was one of those things, like, instantly we had this connection and we
Wow.
felt like just really good friends. Right. And so she invites me to this podcast and I'm trying to get on, but the tech gods did not let us on.
Uh,
Like, I couldn't get it connected. And so I was literally, they were on a Facebook Live. I was messaging them back and forth. I was watching the show. Pat was the friend's name. So Pat and Barb were doing this show. They were great together, laughing, like telling us really amazing. This was really good. I was like, I'm so excited to be on next week. So we decided that I was going to be on the next Tuesday. So this was like a Thursday. I get a call from Barb on Saturday, and she's crying, and she said, I'm going to have to cancel the podcast. Pat was just in a tragic car accident and passed away. So she was driving home. Somebody else was driving down the wrong way on the expressway and hit her and killed her. So Pat dies. And she's like, I can't do the podcast. And I'm like, of course, like, you're not doing the podcast. That's not even a thought. I appreciate the call, but of course you're not doing the podcast. How can I help? We have a great conversation. She gets out the phone. Tuesday comes along and she messages me and she says, I had a dream last night and Pat came to me and said, I need to do the podcast with you. And so will you do it with me? So I'm like, we get on and we do this podcast episode, and it was like we've been friends forever. We just do this without skipping a beat. We do this episode, and then she gets off and she calls me up and she was like, Jason, she was like, would you? She was like, I was sitting and trying to think, like, I'm gonna do this podcast because I think Pat would want me to do it, and she was like, and I was sitting and thinking of like, who could I have be a guest with me, and she was like, would you just guest host with me? So I did. So for like 2.5, 3 years, we did this podcast called Everyday Riches, and it was on Zoom. So I met with her every week. She would always bring a guest. This is really crazy. This is where it gets really crazy. If that wasn't crazy enough. So she was like, awesome. She's like, we'll do the first episode next week. She's like, surprise me and bring a guest. She's like, bring a guest. Like, meet anybody you could think of. Well, she lives in Chicago. We've never met, right?
Right.
I live up here, obviously, and we've never met. And so she's like, bring a guest. We don't know anybody. Like, I don't know. Like, I just met her on LinkedIn.
Right.
And so I thought of two people. I thought of my client Sparkle, who's another story of like somebody that we just connected right away and became friends that have, would just like we were meant to be in each other's lives. But so I thought of Sparkle, and I thought of another gentleman named Dan McPherson who lives in Ann Arbor. He's a sales coach, and he's just somebody, he just popped in my head. I'd been on his podcast. For some reason, I'm like, I think Barb would really connect well with him. And so I was about to shoot Dan a message. I decided I'm going to invite Dan. I went to go shoot Dan a message to invite him to be on this podcast. And as I was going to do that, I got a message from him.
Oh, right there. Divine appointment.
He says, how in the world do you know Barbara Ellison?
World is a small place if we talk.
He's like, how in the Venn diagram of things do you know Barbara Ellison? And I'm like, oh my God. Turns out they're in a weekly meditation group, virtual meditation group together that they meet once a week. So he's known Barb for like 2 years. So
in a room full of friends.
So I'm like, all right, you're coming on the show. We're not even going to tell Barb that you're coming on the show. This is going to be amazing. You're just going to show up and she's going to be so confused. This is going to be amazing. And so we did.
Who's our secret guest?
This is our secret guest. And then Dan comes on and she was like, wait, what? Huh? And I was like, yeah, this is amazing. This is how we know each other. And so that's just, it was one of those things. And we connected so well. We did this podcast for 3 years. She introduced me to a bunch of people. We ended up doing this group of other coaches. Like we just met once a week, kind of like a mastermind group. And then we wrote a book together.
I remember you talking about the book.
Yeah. So it was with me and Barbara and 7 other people. And we wrote a book.
I had no idea.
It ended up becoming a bestseller on Amazon. Like we outsold, starting with Why by Simon Sinek, which was one of my favorite books at the time, and it was really cool. But it was like one of those situations, like we were just instant friends.
We just got to get out of our own way.
Get out of our own way. Stop being afraid.
Yeah.
Send that message out. Yeah. Don't even pick the right words. I couldn't tell you what I sent to Barbara.
I think for your next coaching thing, you should do those little swimmy things.
Oh, it'd be fun. We just show up.
When you go, we're getting rid of these. We're diving in, guys.
I'm going to come with like the duck inner tube on.
People go, what kind of boot camp is this?
I'm going to show up tomorrow. Charlene's going to be like, what's going on?
Do we have to wear those?
But it's having that faith and go take that walk. Because we could sit and we could read all the books. We can make all the plans. But guess what? That plan is going to be scrapped as soon as you go take the action and you realize it was the wrong plan in the first place.
And you know what? Sometimes our original plans are just a blueprint for the real thing.
Yep.
There's so many times, Jason, that I've been a part of different organizations or different events or different things where we thought that, just having it in this box, it looking like this and feeling like this is the best outcome.
Yep.
But sometimes if we're not on the right path, I think that those are those gentle nudges that God gives us that says, over here, and how it might look like a mistake or it might look, different than what we anticipate, and how it's even better. And I find that, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. So if we say something or do something or whatever, hey, humor is a great diffuser.
Humor is a great diffuser for sure.
Even if it isn't funny, hey, I might still laugh because, I can choose. I can laugh or I'm going to cry. I'm going to laugh. So why not? And bring a little joy to somebody.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Hey, I didn't know we were supposed to meet on the east side of town or, whatever it is, It just...
I've been late to meetings or something has happened. There's been a cross in calendar. But really, when you meet people like that and you just kind of laugh it off and apologize, those have been some of my better relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it just... We're all humans. It's just, I don't know. Humor has always been a defense mechanism for me and
Me
my
too.
family growing up. And I love laughing. I love hearing people laugh.
Yep.
And, it's a better way to diffuse things. It does something with the chemicals in our bodies, releases different endorphins and different things that,
Yep.
brings joy. So it breaks that tension and different things like that. And I think it puts people at ease. And I think, yeah, I think the theme is just get out of your own way. Have faith, take the
Have
steps,
fun.
have fun.
Have fun. Stop taking yourself too seriously. Just go out there and
Right.
have fun. We think sometimes it's like, this is life or death, and
It isn't. Like
it
there'll
isn't.
never be
But
another deal.
there'll be another deal. There'll be another opportunity.
There'll be another opportunity. There'll be another meeting. And everything's a learning lesson. And if something I think I've learned greater lessons from some of
Ah,
my earlier mistakes
5,000%. Yep.
that it's like, wow, either that was, intrinsically so difficult or painful or whatever that I'm like, or just the fact that, oh man, I worked really hard, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I don't want to invest all that time in something and not have a better outcome. So
Yep.
you tweak things
Yes.
because there is no hard and fast rule book.
No. And break it down, because it's not all or nothing either. We think, oh,
Right.
that was all horrible. It didn't work. Well,
Right.
that's probably a lie. You maybe failed, or you maybe didn't win, but what worked, what didn't work, and what you
Right.
learned out of the process. Let's really adjust it, because we're really, as humans, hard on ourselves, and we beat ourselves
Right.
up, and we become all or nothing. Oh my God, I'm having a horrible day. I mean, you had two
Right.
things that happened today within this 24-hour period that were not great. The
Right.
rest of the day, you might have had good stuff that happened, but the only thing your mind could see was those
Yeah.
horrible things that happened.
Let those go to the bottom of the list. Let those settle as sediment. Don't let those things rise up because you're going to have more opportunities. You're going to have more things, and you don't want to carry that with you throughout your whole day.
And then, outside of having gratitude, what other way can we pick up our spirit? It's
Yeah.
doing exactly what you're
Yeah.
doing, going out, helping people, changing lives, serving the community.
And what better way to do that in that calibration, in that mindset is with your own work family and had those shared experiences. I can't tell you how many times where I've had people in the community and stuff and say, I've gotten to know my colleagues on such a different level because we're working for the same mission. We're working
Yeah.
for the same
Yes.
purpose, and we're
Yeah.
laughing and talking, and we're breaking bread together, and we're enjoying this, and we're taking funny photos. And I've overcome a fear of using a nail gun or a power saw and
That's
different things, and I'm
awesome.
walking back with all my fingers and all those good things. Or I was apprehensive in a social event and I attended an event and I wasn't sure about it, but I went. It was meaningful and purposeful and entertaining. And I met new people and I met friends and connections and
Yeah.
people know my business now. So I have hundreds of examples of all of those different things, but get out of the boat,
Get out of the boat.
get out of the boat, get out of the boat. And I want to meet more people. I want to meet more strangers to become my friends, to become my colleagues, to become my champions, to become so
So, what's the best way for someone to become not a stranger anymore?
is to take that first step. And, it's a kindergarten principle.
Hmm.
I think a lot of life is kindergarten principles. It's to walk across the room, to shake somebody's hand and say, I haven't met you. You seem very interesting, or whatever drew you to that person, or the fact that I just don't know you and I'd like to get to know you. I know your business. I'd like to get to know more. Let's find out how we can help each other.
Yeah.
It's a easy, let's be friends. And you'll determine after that coffee, that lunch, or that walking meeting or Zoom meeting, whatever you have, that, is it feasible? Is it possible for us to collaborate? Is it possible for us to do business? Do we align? Do I know somebody? I always know somebody I can refer to somebody I'm meeting with. And I try really hard to bring that to the table.
Yeah.
And that's a good discipline to have too, because when you make friends, how do you show people you love them? You think about them, you do actions. So, what's a good call to action in business is to keep your word and to refer other people and to tell
Mm,
people about other amazing people.
yep. Amazing. That's such a mic drop moment. It really is. Just
It
get out of your
is.
head. I just a really good example to pull that home this morning. One of the gentlemen in boot camp was talking about how he wanted to meet other people doing what he does,
Yeah.
and he said, "There's this guy that lives not in the town, same town, a couple towns over, and he's like he's doing what I'm doing, but he creates all this content. He's like it's such amazing content. It pulls me in, and he's like he seems like a cool guy." And he's like, as I'm out, he was like, I don't go out that way for
Mhm.
clients, but I get people all the time. They'll call me and ask me if I do. And I'd really like to have a good referral, like outside of I think this guy does good work. I'd really
Right.
like to get to know him so I
Right.
can really give a good referral. And he's like, so how do I do that? How do I know he's not going to have a scarcity mindset? How do I know he's going to be open to that? I'm like, you don't. And I can't promise you that he will. However, say what you told me. Like,
Right.
honestly, if I called you up, it's like, Jennifer, I've seen you on social media. I've been watching all your
Yeah.
stuff. It's so amazing. I think that there's an opportunity for collaboration. I refer my clients out to people when I can't do the jobs or when it's out of my area. Could we meet up for coffee?
Right.
Would you be like, no, get out of here? I have all the opportunities I can.
Not friends.
And if they do, they're just not your person because like
Right.
they might do that.
Well, that's how you make those discoveries, and that's how you find out, like, what are your processes? Like, how do you, how do you refer out business? How do you walk people through your onboarding programs, and how do you get your end product? How you have to walk through that process, and if you trust that process, you trust the person, you like the person, it's not even sales. I'm referring a friend to a friend.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what we want to do. We want to have a safe landing place. We don't want to say, well, I Googled, and anybody can Google.
Yeah.
I Googled and they got 4.5 stars. I'm hoping that'll be good for you. But I mean, it's
Yep.
way better and it's more meaningful if you can do that introduction. If you can do that introduction or say, this is how you can captivate that. Well, and for lead generation.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? Because what is the philosophy with that? When it's not the catalyst of the purpose of doing it, but when somebody is very helpful and kind, like if somebody buys your coffee at Starbucks, you go through the drive-through and you're like, woohoo, I just got a free latte.
Yeah.
Don't you want to do that to somebody else? Well, I didn't have to spend my 357 or whatever to purchase this coffee. I'm going to buy the next person a coffee. I
Yep.
mean, that is just kind of a natural, same thing with referrals. Hey, I know this person. I think they'd be valuable for you. Great. Well, then you're in the top of the mind for this person because they want to also reciprocate
Yep.
that relationship. So being kind has a lot of benefits. Being authentic has a lot of benefits. Knowing your network, knowing your circle, um, adds value.
Is that
You never know what direction a conversation's gonna go.
and get out of your head because again, like what I most times like and I said this is really the truth. What a lot of people that say I'm the worst salespeople
Yeah.
really have the qualifications to be the best salespeople
Yeah.
because they already listen, they're already curious, they're already thinking
Yeah.
from a servant's mindset. They just got to understand what they're doing and be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Um, whether this is leadership from a leadership thing or sales, as I've worked with people and they're like, I just want to, I want to say this to this person. I wish I could tell this person that they have all the talent in the world and that I see so much potential in them. And now this is like direct quotes that I've heard my people
Right.
that I've led that are talking to me about their team, somebody on their team. I just want to tell them that they have all the potential in the world and that I see this and this in them, and that they've got these really like cool gifts, but they just show up late. They're late all the time, and I just think that do they not like this job? Like, do they not? And like, so say that. Did you say that to them? They're like,
I was thinking it. I was feeling it. If you feel it,
say it.
just even in the sales meeting, if you're giving your pitch and you're showing your proposal and you're presenting all the information, I've always been taught that if you feel something, address it.
Address it. Yeah,
Address it. Is there any reason why we can't do business? Is
yeah.
is there Do you have any other questions? Did I answer all your objections?
Here's one, and this one makes people uncomfortable, which is why you don't see a lot of people do it.
Oh, boy.
But when you're talking to somebody as a salesperson, and you know that they either made that eye roll
Yeah.
or you felt the body chemistry change. What's going on? What are you thinking?
Ooh, yeah. Tina.
Yeah.
Well, people don't wanna be uncomfortable and they don't wanna yeah, it's a lot easier to sweep it under the rug, but it's
Yeah.
better.
It's better. I can
Well,
address it right now. In 99% of the time when I've asked that question, like, hey, I saw that. Like,
yeah,
what's your thoughts? Like,
yeah,
what just ran through your mind? And they'll
right,
be like, it just seems too good to be true. Like, why would you say that? Well, because this and this. Like, well, now let's address that.
right. It just gets that sales funnel closer.
Yep.
Also, I think it builds trust more immediate because if you are truthful and authentic and you go through these processes with people, we can't predict how people are going to act or, manufacture things. It's not a cookie cutter
Yeah.
presentation, conversation, interaction. Everything's different every time and it's real. So if somebody's experienced something, are you going to wait until the end? Sorry, I know you're bleeding. I'm not going to offer you a band-aid until I'm done with my presentation and I close it and here you go. No, you got to be real at the moment. You got to say, I noticed you're uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
you said, or different things like that. Or plus, wouldn't you want to know at the end of your talk if you have a chance? What if there's no, at that point they've already made their decision and
Yeah.
they just want to be polite too.
Yeah.
And then you guys are being polite for weeks. I don't have that time.
No, because now I'm calling you over and over again, and I feel like I'm bugging you. I could have just got it out of the way.
Right. Let's
And
save us both.
yeah.
Let's be respectful. Let's save us both trouble. You're busy, I'm busy. Is there any reason why we can't do business if they say yes or this isn't, my main objective is price and I can't deviate from that, then that's wonderful.
Yep.
I wish you the best.
Yep.
Good luck. If you have other questions or it doesn't pan out for you, feel free to come back. There's a million and one scenarios, but leading with authenticity and when you have a good product, whatever that is, whether that is an experience, a tangible product,
A cause.
a cause, just your own experience to be able to help people reach their purpose. You know, if people really want that, they really don't even need to be sold. You're just educating them you're
Yes.
educating them and finding out, is the timing right? Maybe the timing's not right. Maybe it's not a no, it's just maybe later.
Yeah.
And that's acceptable. You just
Absolutely.
have to be able to follow up on those maybe laters.
Have a system. Jennifer, this has been a phenomenal conversation.
Oh,
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
yeah,
I don't take it lightly when you say you can't sleep at night. Like, sweet.
I don't. My husband can vouch for me. No, I really appreciate this time. I just think you are fantastic. You are
appreciate that.
a amazing friend, colleague, and a champion in the community. And you're always rooting everybody on. And I just appreciate being a part of this forum to be able to share what I'm doing now. And really excited about where we're going with Habitat.
Pleasure is all mine. And I'm excited to be a champion to be able to get some of
Yeah,
these stories out. So I'm excited for that.
absolutely. Thank you, Jason.
My pleasure.